On this, let's add a conditional when the repeating group's status contains current cell status. It means that this box has been checked, so the icon should reflect that. Similarly, this condition can be used on our workflows. But we only want this to happen when the repeating group statuses doesn't contain the current cell status. If it already does, then we want to actually remove the status. So when it does contain, then we don't want to plus item, we want to minus item. Let's just set up our clear. Going to add a workflow to our clear button. This is going to reset the data of our group filter. It's also going to reset the data of our group focus, which is what holds all of the inputs. We also need to reset all of the states. So I'm just going to leave them blank like this. Cool, let's try this out. I'm going to go here and add some filters. And we can see that when we click it, that's reflected, and when we unclick it, that is also reflected. Now I'm going to click submit, and we can inspect this to see what the values of our custom states are. And as we can see, it's all exactly how we want it. Let's look at this again, exactly how we want it. We can also open this again and click clear. We see the inputs clear. We don't see this cleared, which we need to go ahead and fix. But then we can look at our custom states and they're all empty. So the reason this group reset doesn't clear this is because this is responding to the repeating group status's custom state status, which we didn't clear in this action. So we need to go ahead and do that and set the state of our repeating group status equal to blank. And that will fix the problem. Right now I have this and this selected. I can click clear and we see them disappear. Okay, let's connect it to the repeating group just like we connected the search custom state. It's applying all of the same principles, it's just more complicated, so it's a level up. Let's start with bats. We want to say bats need to be less than our reusable element filters bats max, but then it has to be greater than our bats min. I'm going to do that for the rest. So I set this all up. I could have also used less than and equal to or greater than and equal to, but I just chose to do it like that. That is personal preference. Now you may notice that I didn't set up status. That's because we can't do it this way. Since the user is allowed to select multiple statuses, but a listing doesn't have multiple statuses, we actually need to use advanced filters. After our search for listings, we need to add this filtered option. On first look, it looks like it's the same thing. We are still constrained to these options, but what we need to do is type in advanced. That removes the preset equal to, less than, greater than that bubble gives and allows us to type and filter by whatever we want. So I'm going to check that our filter A's status contains this listing's status. And if it does, show it. But the problem with this is if they choose not to filter by status, then this will be empty. And an empty list can't contain this listing's status, so nothing would show up. So in addition to this, we need to add an or condition. Show it if this status is selected by the user, or just show it if the user didn't select any statuses when the count is 0. Over here, just like we had to type each of these in twice to filter by both min and max, we could have done that here in one line using advanced filters. I'm just going to show you how we would do that. We would check that this listing's bats is less than filter A's bats max, and this listing's bats is greater than filter A's bats min. And that's how we would do it. But I'm just going to remove that because we already did the same thing in this manner. Let's try this out. So here I have a $500,000 house, so I'm going to set my range from $400,000 to $600,000. I'm going to set my desired square footage, also including this in its range, so 500 to 900, and we can just click submit. And we can see that this is the only thing that comes up. I'm going to clear, and we see all of our things return. I'm going to include a more inclusive range so we can see multiple things. Let's filter by number of beds. I'm going to do from 4 to 7. So the only one that doesn't include is this Willoughby Lane, because the rest are within that range. I can click submit and we see Willoughby Lane disappear. I'm going to show you just status because that was an important one. Right here we have available, accepting offers, and available. I'm going to say only when it is accepting offers do I want to see it. I click submit and that's the only one that shows up. So you saw that we can do filters in conjunction. If I were to set this min equal to 1,000,000, then this would be out of its range and disappear. One more thing, a user can search but then also have filters active, so we need to see how that works. I'm going to filter it so that only this house, so that these two houses will show up. So I'm going to make my price range 300,000 to 600,000 and click submit. So these are the only two houses that show up, and I am going to copy paste this. That's what comes up. I'm going to click clear again, and our filters still act and we only see two houses. One last thing, I'm going to search for this again, but this time my filters are not going to include that in its range. So only this house is currently showing. Even if I search for it by name, that house doesn't come up because it isn't compliant with my filters. If I clear it, we see it there. Filters are a vital part of any app, and it's just a matter of using custom states